Hey, good evening to you. My name is Michael Ritzik, and welcome to Technical Communication for Fall 2013. The English 162 WA and WB section is combined. So, like when we do discussion board postings, there'll be 49 of them. We have 49 students total. And so you'll get to see a bigger array. But it's easier for me because if I have to make changes in two different courses, then I have to fiddle around with them. And just with the one course, it's much more, it's simpler. And from a student perspective, you also get to view more writing samples, and I think that's very, very helpful as far as that goes. If you just bought this book, this is what your book will look at, like Technical Communication, a Practical Approach. We actually just started using this fall, this custom edition, and they sold it to us at a lesser price, and so that's why we chose it. And so anyhow, that's the book for this class. And then also too, if you bought it new, you get an ebook with it. And if you want to just use the ebook as a supplement, or if you wanted to use it solely as an ebook, you could do that. It gives you directions for logging into the website. If you had this course before, if you bought this on Amazon.com or Half.com, this is what the book looks like. I don't require you to use the My Tech Com Lab that goes with the book. It's a supplement and it's very, very helpful. But I just wanted to mention that we will be using the textbook pretty extensively, especially for discussion boards. There's a 50-point quiz that we refer to the book with, and other things like that. Now, if you had college writing, Composition 1, and you still have this handbook, I would encourage you to use it because it's very, very good. If you don't have a handbook at home, one of the best sites, in my opinion, to use is owl.english.purdue.edu, which is the online writing lab at Purdue University. We used to use this book in this class, which is called The Prentice Hall Guide, Reference Guide to Professional Writing. It's actually fairly similar one to the Brief Penguin Handbook, and you can pick these up very cheaply on Amazon or Half.com. But this handbook focuses a little bit more, like it has a section on public and professional speaking, and then it also has other sections on letter writing and different types of documents that you have to do in business and technical communication. So here's what, like I said, it's a book that if you ever wanted to pick it up, like I said, buy a copy of that. That would be okay. I'm going to send you this booklet next weekend, or next week rather. It's a sample booklet of different assignments from this class that I've had from the past. And sometimes people like to look at printed examples. Many, many years ago, I had a student in this class who was a machinist. And, as a machinist, you read blueprints all day, and, you read different types of diagrams. And so he wanted to see things visually. So I would write information on the board and so on. He said, please give examples. So initially I started to put together a booklet of sample assignments, and I expanded a little bit, so I mail it to students. And I do have sample documents in the, in assignments and so on for you to look at. But like I said, sometimes people want to have samples, and that's what I will do. So I will send it out probably on Monday, and you'll get it at some point next week. But I just wanted to, mention that to you. I also wanted to mention to you one other website that I use pretty extensively. It's www.bartleby.com, and they have a variety of excellent reference sources that you would find really, really advantageous. Right now, also, if you have an opportunity while you're watching this, go to the library tab on the WCCC portal, and I wanted you to look at the one that says databases from A to Z, okay? and you click on that. And the ones that you will find most advantageous for this class would be EBSCOhost, particularly when you're doing your consumer report, because it does have Consumer Report Magazine. It has like computer magazines. It has all sorts of other periodicals, and I like EBSCOhost. But the really cool thing to do, I'm going to click on it right now and see when you go into it, you can select all or deselect all. I just usually go select all, and then you click continue. And if I was looking for a snowblower for my consumer report, and I type that in, well then the first one that comes up with is this one was from some governmental agency, but they have a variety of different sources here. And I see one right here. It says Consumer Reports Magazine. So when I click on it and open it, then I can see the article, and then if I wanted to click on the full text format, I could do that. But the really nice thing about EBSCOhost, in my opinion, in using it, on the right side it says Cite, and you can click on that and it'll show you the APA, the MLA, and other ways of citing it. And so it's nice. You can just copy and paste the citation right into your works cited page. And so that is definitely an advantage. And of course, the other facet that I really like about the WCCC library site is LexisNexis, which is a great source to use to refer to. And then if you notice that it says library home, and then it has the hours of the library, and then their phone number, and you can email the reference of public service librarian, and so they will take your email, but of course you can always phone them, and they have the number listed. Now, if you ever need help at night or on the weekend, there is a really good website that I always recommend to students. It's called Ask Here PA. Ask Here PA. And there is a reference librarian available 24 hours a day. And I remember specifically that I had a student in the summer class, and he had to write a philosophy paper, and he had to use a philosopher from the 1800s, from the 1900s, and from the current century. And so he had to write about a particular topic, and I had no idea where to begin. And so I recommended that he went there, and he was actually from Latrobe. And the lady from Ask Here said, hey, there's a couple really good books at the Adams Memorial Library in Latrobe, and you can go get those. And she was very helpful, to him. So, I just wanted to mention that too. And so, like I said, that they have really good, they have good detail with this library website. What I also wanted to mention to you a little bit today is, as far as like some of the assignments we're initially going to get into, but I also wanted to tell you a little bit on writing good, clear email. And I'm going to go ahead in to the portal, and okay, when you click, you create an email, and then you can send an email to me at ritzikm@wccc.edu. Okay. Now, a couple of options that you have that I wanted to make you aware of. If you have something you want me to look at immediately, then you can click that red exclamation point, and that will alert me that you're sending me something that's really important that I need to review. Now, the other thing that you do is you see where it says options, and you can click on request a delivery receipt for this message and request a rev receipt for this message. And I will tell you, when I did that, I had a problem with, I can't remember what it was, but it was some sort of consumer product, and the company wasn't responding to me. And so when I sent them an email, I sent, that I got a receipt back to saying that when it was received, and then I got a receipt back to say when it was opened. And so finally they did respond to me. So you can, you can do that. Now, the other point that I want you to do is in your email, it says options. You can click on that, and it will take you in. and it'll say see all options, so you can click on that, and then click on settings, okay? Then it'll say your email signature block, email signature. Before you do that, click the one that says automatically include my signature on messages that I send, and always show BCC. BCC is blind carbon copy. So if you want to send a copy of something you're sending and you don't want the other receivers to know, that's what blind carbon copy is. With your email signature, please put your first and last name. Second of all, put your college major. Or if you don't have a major, then you can put undecided. But most people that take this class do have a major. And then put WCCC 145 Pavilion, Pavilion Lane, Youngwood, comma, PA 15697. And then you can put your cell phone number, or if you have a home phone number you'd rather have to be contacted at if necessary, you can put that. And then put your WCCC email, and then an alternate email in case I need to contact you more quickly, so you have another way of contacting you. So that's how you do that. And then there's also one that says spelling. And when you go to that one, click the box that says always spell check before sending, okay? Now, when you send me an email, like I said, you send it to ritzikm@wccc.edu. If the WCCC email is down or there's some problem, you can see I have another email address, which is michaeljh@zoominternet.net. But with the subject line, put your first and last name, and then your class, English 162 if you're in WA or WB, and then what the assignment is that you're sending so that I can know at a glance what I'm getting. If you don't send a subject line, I often just delete them because I've gotten a Trojan horse before through an email from someone I thought I knew who it was from. So that's something that I want you to do. Now, when you send an email, address me by name, Dear Mr. Ritzik, comma. In the first sentence, tell me what you're sending and when it is due. So I am sending assignment 1 on what my friends and family members think of me, which is due on Friday, August 30th, 2013, period. And then in another sentence or two, tell me something about what you're sending. I enjoyed this assignment. I found more information that I would have expected, or I was surprised by what I discovered, or I tried to work on my sentence level writing, or whatever. But just tell me something about the document you're sending. In the very last part, in the last sentence, you can just say, please respond by, and just give me a week to respond. So in this particular case, you'll say, please respond by Friday, September 6, 2013. And at the bottom, you'll put sincerely, comma, or thank you, comma, and then you'll have your name. Mostly, like I said, if you have an email signature block, then your email signature block will be below. But the reason why I tell you that, to be specific in your email, because it helps me to be able to read your work more accurately if I know something about what you're sending or something that you concentrated on in your writing. I find that to be very helpful. In the summer months, I had 7 online classes, and so I think I had 150 students at one point, and on some Fridays, I would get quite a bit of email. And so in that particular case, if I knew what the person was sending and so on, it helped me to read it more specifically. So with the assignments that you send, you can just send them via email attachment, and then I'll read them and then send them back to you. I know in some of these online classes, they have you submit work through the gradebook, but I actually like to receive it through email. And in that way, if I have questions or comments or whatnot, it's easier to get back in touch with you. With the grade book, you actually have to log in and then look in the grade book and see what my comments are. With the email, I like that better, and it works out more effectively. Now, for Friday, the 30th of August, actually 3 items you're going to have to send. The first one is your information sheet, and you can just bullet those points if you like or whatnot. I just need an information sheet about you, and so if I need to contact you, or if I need to find out more information about you, or what your major is, or some of those types of things, I actually keep these information sheets for a little while because I got my car detailed recently, and the father of the guy that was doing my car said, we need somebody as a heating an air conditioning technician. So a former student that I knew was looking for a job, so I called him up, and he applied, but he was able to get into an apprenticeship program with this Boilermakers union, so he didn't even need to get this job. But I contacted him anyhow. But I like to have these these information sheets. So in writing your email, even when you have questions for me, don't say, "Dear Mr. Ritzig, I don't understand the assignment." Tell me what you don't understand. I don't understand what the points of criteria are, or I don't understand how long this has to be, or what it needs to look like, and so on. So for next Friday is the information sheet, and then what 2 or 3 of your friends or family members think of you, and so on. With the email assignment, you're writing an email to me telling me what you learned about the 4 links that you looked at, and then there's about 4 points of criteria that I want you to respond to. You can write it as a regular email, or you could do it as a Word attachment. It's up to you. And so that's how we do the assignments for this particular class. And the other point that I wanted to alert you to is with the discussion board. And we do 7 of those total. So if you go to our class, and if you go in, and then it says Tools, click on Tools. And under Tools, I also wanted to mention to you that there's a section in there that says Send Email. And you can send all users, to all student users, to instructors, and so on. But if you have select users, you can select individuals in the class. You can email it to me. And so that's a feature that's available in there. And then, of course, in that section as well, under Tools, you can check your grades. And if you have a problem with grades, you can let me know. With the discussion board, you can click on that, and then you can go in. And when you go in, there is a discussion board posting that we'll be doing. The first one is discussion board 1 that will be due Friday, September the 6th. And discussion board 1A, you're actually going to have to do your first posting by Wednesday, September 4th, and then the next posting by Friday, September the 6th. Okay? But when you go in, like, let's go into discussion board 1, and you click on that, and it will take you in. What you have to do is you have to click Create Thread, okay? And then in the subject line, you can just put your first and last name and then discussion board 1. And if you like, you can actually just type directly into the discussion board. I want to see. Nope. I thought it would automatically correct your spelling errors, but it doesn't. What you really should do, and this is a really, really good tip, believe me when I tell you this, is type your discussion board postings into Word and save them, and then copy the posting directly into the discussion board. And then, you can, when you're done with them, then you can click Submit. If you click Save Draft, that means that you're only going to see it and not anyone else will, but you can click Submit, okay? And then when you click Submit, then they're available for everyone else to see. Now, when you respond to someone else's discussion board posting, you have to click Reply. So that's how it works. And something that I do want to tell you with an online course, a discussion board is a key element of it. If you post something that is ineffective and poorly done, I'm not going to write to you and say, Lisa, this discussion board posting looked like you wrote it in a minute. You need to do it again. What I typically do is I'll comment on it and I'll give you some suggestions and so on. And that's beneficial because everyone else in the class gets to see what I'm looking at or what I'm focusing on. And don't ever think, oh my God, he doesn't like me, or he's being mean or harsh. That's a way of teaching in these online courses, and that's really beneficial. And as I said, people can look at effective and ineffective examples. Now, when you comment on other postings on the discussion board, try to be fair Try to look at good points and bad points. Don't say this is a horrible posting. How did you ever think of that? If you ever disagree, then disagree, tactfully. But we will use, the discussion board pretty extensively throughout this class. So again, for Friday the 30th of August, the assignment that you have due is the information sheet, assignment one on what 2 or 3 friends or family members think of you, and then assignment two on email. Lastly, I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the main assignments for this class. The key main assignment we're going to do is a consumer report where you have to look at 3 brands of a product and then choose one. I had a student in the summertime that was running a marathon, and she bought shoes that she was training with, and so they were $125. But she compared Nike, she compared New Balance, and then she looked at Adidas, and then she ended up choosing the Nike shoes. But I've had people that looked at pistols, bow and arrows, hunting bows, new vehicles, motorcycles, appliances, laptops, tablets, e-readers. I had somebody looked at the really high-tech sunglasses, in the summertime. You name it, I've had people look at it, furniture, the list goes on and on. So, you have to compare 3 brands of a product and then choose one brand based either on 4 or 5 points of criteria. And you have to use a minimum of 6 sources. Most people use 9, 10, a little bit more than that. And then you have to do written instructions explaining how to do something that you're really skilled at doing. I had a student in this class that him and his father were plumbers, and one of their big customers was the Home Depot. And so he wrote about installing a gas water tank. And he was very, very good at it, but he was really accurate as far as the steps. Even in teaching this class, I've used some instructions that students have given me on my own, because one of the ones that I've done is I create a compost pile bin at home, and I use that on my garden. And in the last few years, I've planted a vegetable garden. And there was a student in this class that wrote good instructions on how to do that. And so, I had to buy a tiller, and then I, spend maybe $75 on plants. But I think I probably get between $750 and $1,000 back in vegetables. It takes time, but it's a good hobby, and it's something that I, definitely enjoy doing. I had somebody that detailed a car. He was a professional auto detailer, and he did that, and his were very, very, good. So lots of people that do athletic things like throwing certain pitches in baseball, or being had somebody that was a football referee, and he talked about that as far as how to set up and how to do that. And then people that played ultimate frisbee or paintball, you name it. I mean, I've seen it for those written instructions. There's plenty of examples of those, in assignments. And the other point that I wanted to mention is you have to do a document where you have to summarize information in 3 different formats. And in this red booklet, there's a good example of that on pages 36 to 48. Yeah, this is a really, really good example. This is a visual organizer of an article, and they put it in this visual format. And if you notice this, I believe this student used word art, and then he had these blocks, and then he used the arrows and so on to link them together. And of course, what you also can do is you can use Microsoft Visio, which is a visual organizer software that is part of the Microsoft Office suite. And then you also can use, some people use Excel, some people use PowerPoint. There's different options. And so with the article, there's an example of a longer summary on page 37, and he is actually bulleted format with headings. And then on page 42, he had a shorter summary. But if you look on page 43, when you get this booklet, she wrote hers more in paragraph format, and she was an early childhood education student, and she wrote about what happened to kindergarten. So anyhow, there's some examples, but you're looking at an article of 3 to 5 or 6 pages long, more about 5 pages long, and from your discipline or related field, and you're summarizing in a couple of different ways. The only other item that I wanted to mention to you briefly tonight is a lot of people think technical writing is pretty boring and it's pretty cut and dry, but at its best it's really really effective. And when you think about it, it makes products safer. It allows you as a consumer to do things easier, or to perform your job much easier. But a very good example of ineffective technical writing is my wife. When she and I first got married, she had a Honda Accord, okay, and we were driving up in Donegal, and all of a sudden the light for the temperature light went up and it went to high, and here the engine block cracked. And so we ended up having to take the car to a mechanic who had never worked on Hondas. He bought a repair manual, and he got the engine taken apart. He got the antifreeze out and got the whatever he had to do. The block cracked or whatever. So I can't remember what all he had to do, but there was one sentence that he could not read. One sentence, and it really screwed up the instructions. And our car was never the same. We ended up having to trade it in because he couldn't figure out this one sentence. And now we take our car to a mechanic that only specializes in Hondas. We have 3 Hondas, and that's what he does, and we don't have a problem because that's what he knows how, to do. But I had a student that him and his son went on the Appalachian Trail. They bought a tent from Gander Mountain. Here they're hiking. All of a sudden, a rainstorm comes up upon them. Bam! They had to get the tent set up and everything. He said there was these instructions right on the flap. He said he read them and he figured it out. He said that tent was up in 2 minutes, and that's a good example of written instructions. The same thing with IKEA, or Hewlett Packard, or Dell when you buy some of their products. So I've gone on too long, but I just wanted to give you some key information. Thank you.